4 minutes left before we will start the class. Down to 3 minutes. Two minutes. Everyone, if we can arrange or if you can arrange among yourselves schedule or time for our makeup classes, that would be appreciated. So, kayo na yung bahala if you wanted to have makeup class kasi nga especially this particular subject kaya nga umabot sa ganitong schedule kasi we have the difficulty in choosing our schedule because of the differences, no? Very different schedules of among you. So if you wanted, I really wanted to have um makeup classes so that I could discuss the rest of the topics while having you also answering the different tasks, no? um if you can talk among with you, please, if you have idea on scheduling for a makeup class, please do so. Please inform me. Okay, I think we are.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Manso. So it's already 4:10 and we will start the discussion. By the way, once again, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming for a very short notice. But of course, remember that every time mag Friday and then Saturday, meron tayong schedule niyan. So please assume, automatically assume that si Sir, parang magme-message si Sir, no? So yan yung assumption natin. So although my notice is very short because I did message you siguro kaninang morning pa, but then again, we all know that we already know that we have our schedule every Friday and Saturday. So please make that as an assumption and mind setting din, no? And of course, we siguro February tayo mag-end and I'm actually um hoping that although we cannot what you call this, I cannot give you the whole task for the module. Siguro ang gusto ko lang mangyari is to cover the discussions as much as I can, no? Um, kaya nga gusto ko talaga mag-request if kaya sa mga schedules ninyo, mag-meeting kayo or mag-usap kayo, and then please choose a time for our makeup class, no? So, and please tell me if meron man kayong makitang schedule. Okay. Again, if you have questions, please raise that question right after the discussion. Because for this afternoon, we will be discussing Module 4, that is weathering and soil formation. So let me share my screen. I hope nakikita niyo yung screen ko. Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Sandali lang. For a while, I am checking my microphone and headphone. Okay, I think that's it. Okay. By the way, kung merong time na nawawala yung screen ko, please tell me. Okay, so our lesson for this afternoon would be weathering soil and mass movements. Actually, the our discussion for this afternoon is not so unfamiliar to you because the terms that we'll be mentioning here were already mentioned during our discussion in minerals and rocks, especially the term weathering and mass movements. Okay, so we will start first with weathering, specifically mechanical weathering. I did mention to you, remember the term weathering? Weathering is one of the Earth's external processes, no? Siya yung mga processes bakit meron tayong tinatawag na sediments, no? For the formation of your sedimentary rock, no? If you could still remember. So I did mention that there are two main types of weathering, which is mechanical weathering and of course chemical weathering. Okay, so we'll start the discussion first with mechanical weathering with the definition. According to the definition, mechanical weathering occurs when physical forces break rock. No, tinawag siyang mechanical because it involves physical forces. So physical forces break rock into smaller and smaller pieces without changing the rock's mineral composition. So the key word here is in mechanical weathering, you just have to change the physical appearance, no? Yung sinabi dito, break rock into smaller and smaller pieces without changing the composition of your rock. That is what we call mechanical weathering. So in nature, three physical process are especially important causes of weathering. Yung pinakauna, I think na-mention ko na to during the example, no? Frost wedging, unloading, although unloading is hindi ko na-mention, and of course, biological activity. So ano yung mga causes, very important causes of weathering? Bakit nabibiak yung tinatawag nating mga bato? Okay, so we have here the first one. But before that, when it comes to the concept of surface area, no? Ang ibig sabihin natin ng surface area, I think especially for you are all sciences major sa cell natin, sa concept natin sa cell biology. We have here the concept of surface area by volume ratio, no? What is the reason or what is the importance of having a very small cell? No? 'Di ba meron talagang question na bakit maliit yung cell? Bakit hindi pwedeng palakihin yung cell? Because of some processes. Now, this is also true when it comes to rocks. No, we have here the first one, 16 square units ni siya, okay, and then we have six sides. The first rock here, and then you have here one cube, and that is 96 square units. On the other hand, we have four square units na meron tayong mga small cubes here, apat. So you have four square units. And then how many sides? You also have here six sides also, the same with the first one. And you have eight cubes, no? You have one, two, three, four, five, six, nandun din sa likod. So you have eight cubes. Therefore then, if you have 4 times 6 times 8, you have 192 square units. Okay? And then the next one, this one, mas gipagamay pa, no? Mas pinaliit pa, no? Itong malaking bato na to, mas pinaliit pa. Meron siyang mga pieces. You have one square unit. And then you also have here six sides again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you have 64 cubes. That is a total of 384 square units. Now, what is now the concept of surface area? Sir, ano ba po yung concept ng surface area? Ito, if if the object or the rock is getting larger, no? Kung nag-increase yung size ng particular solid material, therefore the surface area is decreasing. So that's the concept, no? So the small here, or the smaller the pieces of your rocks, the surface area here is increasing also. So sir, ano pong ibig sabihin? What is now the implication of the picture? It means now that this particular rock here, having 16 square units, siya yung merong pinakamaliit na surface area. And then nandito sa pangatlo, no, yung tinatawag natin na merong 64 cubes, siya yung may pinakamataas na surface area. So what is now the concept? Remember that sa surface area kasi, mas madali nating i-powder, or mas madali siyang mabiak ng mas mabiak if meron siyang increase in surface area, mas gagmay. Di ba mas madali nating mabibiak yung mga batong mas maliit compared sa napakalaking bato, no? So that is the concept of surface area. Next, we have here our mechanical weathering. Again, I did mention about the examples of your mechanical weathering. We have the first one is frost wedging. So ang ibig sabihin ng frost wedging, children, according to this description, the mechanical breakup of rock caused by the expansion of freezing water in cracks and crevices. Ang ibig sabihin, merong nang nag-crack, for example, sa bato, no? And then, for example, this bato, siguro sa US ni siya, kay nag-freeze man diri dapitang example. So you have here a crack, meron ng little open yung rock, and then nalagyan ng tubig, nag-freeze yung tubig. So pag nag-freeze yung tubig, meaning to say, the water now is turning into another phase, which is solid, correct? So if that is now solid, meaning to say, mo expand ang imuhang freezing water or imong ice. Pag expand na niya karon, katong crack sa imuhang bato, mas nibuak pa siya. So nag-break pa gid siya. So that is what we call frost wedging. Sections of rock that are wedged loose may tumble into large piles called talus, which typically form at the base of steep rocky cliffs. Meron tayong picture later. I will tell you kung ano yung ibig sabihin ng, I will point to you kung ano yung talus, no? So yung ibig sabihin ng talus, meron yung sa bundok, di ba? You will notice na some of the bundok, especially kung hindi magaanong maraming puno, daghan kaayo bato nga naggagmay-gagmay, no? Nasa steep. Okay. So hanggang sa pinakataas na point ng bundok hanggang sa baba, meron kang mga you have large piles or mga small pieces of rocks, no? Anyway, meron tayong pictures dyan. This is an example of a frost wedging, children. You would notice that this particular crack here, kung merong magde-deposit dito na water, and then the water will freeze, meaning to say turning into solid. Therefore, yung crack ng bato will get larger, no? And then ang ibig sabihin ng talas, ito mga bato na to. Okay. So itong mga bato na to, bali nanggaling yan sa napakalaking bato, and then nag-crack siya, and then that's it. Okay? So again, that is the term talos. This one. Okay? Next, we have an example of unloading. A reduced pressure on igneous rock causes it to expand and allows slabs of outer rock to break off in layers in a process called exfoliation. So please take note of unloading, no? Pag sinasabing unloading, reduced pressure on igneous rock causes it to expand and then allows. Remember, you have what you call this? Meron tayong tinatawag na yung igneous rock on the inside. We call it again, we call it intrusive igneous rock. So remember, merong question doon na kailan kaya, or what is now the process of, or what is the chance, or meron bang chance na yung mga igneous rock na nasa loob ng, nasa ibaba ng land, for example, we call it intrusive igneous rock, may chance ba na lalabas yan? Meron talagang chance, no? Because of the process of unloading. because there will be chances that our rock beneath no kay mag-move na sila. I think I did mention this. So murag mag-exchange, parang mag-circulate siya. So meaning to say there are times that the rocks on the inside no beneath the earth meron siyang chance na pupunta sa taas. Okay? And then again, when we say unloading, the process here is exfoliation. In a way, meron tayong picture dyan. So I will tell you what is really you will really appreciate now what is really the concept of exfoliation. And then the other one is biological activity. Marami. For example, yung including plants, no? Pag sinasabing plants, yung root pry, yung sinabi, no? I think nabigay ko ata tong example. Like, ibig sabihin, pag sobrang malaki na yung, for example, meron kang napakalaking puno, and then that particular puno, meron siyang malalaking ugat. And then those big roots will penetrate to the rocks. Okay? Making your rocks, mag-break yung rocks, no? Therefore, that is an example of biological activity. And then burrowing animals, of course, sa pagkalkal ng mga animals natin, siguro especially for those small rocks, no? So nabibiyak sila. And of course, humans, like for example, siguro ginamitan natin or natapakan ba natin or whatsoever. So those are examples of biological activity when it comes to mechanical weathering. Mechanical weathering. Okay, so this is now the concept of unloading and exfoliation of igneous rocks, no? Kung titignan niyo dyan sa picture, meron tayong tinatawag na uplift of igneous rock. Okay, because remember that there are igneous rocks on the inside. Therefore, there would be times na they will expand. No, may expand sila. Pag may expand sila children, pag may expand sila, meaning to say, lalabas sila sa beneath the earth, no? And then right after that, it will exfoliate, no? Pag sinasabing exfoliate, parang if you are using maxi peel or rejuvenating na mga toner, yung skin mo, yung skin sa face ninyo, magtatanggal yan, magpipeel off. That is what we call exfoliation. So yun yung nangyayari dito sa ating tinatawag na igneous rock, no? Specifically unloading and exfoliation. So meron tayong tinatawag again of uplifting igneous rock, no? Lalabas yan beneath the earth. Not really technically lalabas, but it will have a protrusion, no? Ito, okay? And then right after some time, it will peel off or exfoliate. Okay. So meron kang pieces of rocks na dayan. Example of biological activity. So I did mention about these roots, no? So it will penetrate through your rocks, no? And then right after it, eventually your rock will break. Okay. I hope you understand mechanical weathering. Now let's proceed to chemical weathering. Here in mechanical weathering, kung sa mechanical weathering natin, ang nagbabago lang is yung appearance ng rocks or yung bato, no? So ano nangyari sa mga bato? Nag-change lang yung size, for example, no? Breaking down into smaller and smaller pieces, but not changing the composition of your rock. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to chemical weathering, kaya tinatawag siyang chemical weathering, it is because this is now the time that a chemical reaction will proceed. And if there would be chemical reaction, therefore, there is a change in composition. So this is now the main difference between your mechanical and chemical weathering. So chemical weathering by definition is the transformation of rock into one or more new compounds. Kasi nga, there will be chemical reaction. So of course, the tendency sa basic knowledge natin sa chemistry, if there is chemical reaction, probably there would be a new compound or new compounds will be forming right after the chemical reaction. Okay, so we have here the chemical, very good example being placed here is the chemical weathering of granite. Okay, weathering of potassium feldspar produces clay minerals, soluble salt, that is potassium bicarbonate, and silica in solution. Okay, weathering of potassium feldspar. Pag sinasabing weathering of potassium feldspar, nag-separate yan. It undergoes a chemical reaction wherein the potassium feldspar breaks down. Okay, right after breaking down, it produces clay minerals. It produces soluble salt, which is potassium bicarbonate as an example here, and of course silica in solution. Remember the different um, the different types of chemical reactions, no? So we have combination, we have what you call this, we have separation, no? That particular terms of different types of chemical reaction. And then here, quartz remains substantially unaltered. Okay. Next, weathering of silicate minerals produces insoluble iron oxides and clay minerals. Ang ibig sabihin again dito sa chemical weathering is um, decomposing the mineral. Okay? So pag sinasabing decompose, meaning to say separating now the components of your mineral. Okay? So that is the weathering of silicate minerals. Pag sinasabing you have to separate or decompose silicate, that will now produce insoluble iron oxides and of course clay minerals. Another thing we have is spheroidal weathering. In spheroidal weathering, actually makikita natin to. I do not know if you can observe this here in Anglesur or sa mga lugar na kung saan kayo, no? Meron tayong tinatawag na spheroidal weathering. Now, the spheroidal weathering is actually a result of chemical weathering, no? So ito yung nangyayari sa kanya. Let's jump off muna, no? Sorry. Okay, that's one. That one. So that is what we call the spheroidal weathering, no? Because of the because of the series of chemical weathering, until such time that your rocks are forming circles or spheroidal. Okay, so spheroidal weathering is not part of mechanical weathering, but a chemical weathering. Okay. Next, rate of weathering. Sir, paano ba natin malalaman, no, kung or meron bang meron bang part or what are the factors that could um ano ba mapadali yung tinatawag nating weathering? Are there any? Yes, of course, no, because weathering is still a process. Therefore, meron talagang factor kung saan or saang banda ng tinatawag natin na process yung nakapapadali or nagpadali sa process. Okay. So, two other factors affecting the rate of weathering are rock characteristics and climate. So, these are the main factors affecting the rate of weathering. So, ano pong type of weathering? Is it mechanical or chemical? Both. No? So, of course, rock characteristics and climate. So, ibig sabihin, kung yung rock talaga is very hard, therefore, hindi talaga agad siya nabibiyak. Okay? So minsan the weathering process is somewhat difficult din. No, maraming delays kasi nga napakatigas ng bato, kung tinatawag natin. Or for example, the climate. So if the climate is ano ba, kung nata sa um, temperate region or kung naabata sa desert sa desert for example, no, sa desierto, saan ba ang mas madaling makapagbiyak na bato? It is in temperate region or in tropical region. Okay? So yun yung factors that are widely affecting the rate of weathering, the characteristics of your rock, and then of course the climate. So the first one, rock characteristics, mineral composition and solubility, physical features such as joints. Um, Remember, the reason why meron talagang very hard na bato because of their mineral composition. Okay? So that's it. And then for climate naman, temperature and moisture are the most crucial factors. Very crucial. Especially sa mga bato na especially sa mga bato na parating nababasa, they are more prone on mechanical weathering, no? Because water or moisture can soften the characteristic or the physical characteristic of your bato. That is why pag always siya nababad sa tubig, for example, after some time mas madali siyang biyakin compared to a dry one. Okay? And then the other, chemical weathering is most effective in areas with high temperatures and abundant moisture. When it comes to chemical weathering alone, you have to take note of this, children. When it comes to chemical weathering, sa chemical weathering daw, the chemical weathering is very effective sa areas with high temperatures. Okay, napakainit. Of course naman, no? Remember, pag sobrang init, nabibiyak yung bato, and of course, abundant moisture. Okay, so meaning to say, kung maraming tubig, for example, so meaning to say, if we're going to look at here, very extreme, no? High temperature and abundant moisture. Sa napakaulan na lugar, or very malamig and napakainit na lugar. So that is for the climate, for the rate of weathering. Okay, of course, the examples, spheroidal weathering for your chemical weathering. What I mean, yeah, chemical weathering. Another, we have here differential, the term differential weathering. It is caused by variations in composition. Kaya siya tinawag na literally, no, kaya siya tinawag na differential weathering because it is actually caused by variations in composition. Nag-vary. So it creates unusual and spectacular rock formations and landforms. Um, that is now the result, no? Kaya nga, pag sinasabi talagang differential weathering, if there would be variations in compositions, it's either in the mineral composition, and of course, sa rate of weathering, like for example, factors affecting the weathering here, the result of that would be unusual and spectacular rock formations and landforms. Okay? Supposedly, hindi talaga siya nangyayari naturally because the process of mechanical and chemical weathering is very normal, no? Kasi nga, most of the composition or mineral or rock composition, there's also what we call normal. But because of some abnormalities, and we call it differential weathering, because there are variations of compositions, very varied na composition, the result now is a very spectacular and unusual formations, rock formations and landforms. I think one of the example for differential weathering here is your spheroidal weathering. Okay. Next is soil. Characteristics of soil. Um, Saan ba banda sa sino bang stem dito? Meron bang stem dito? May stem people ba dito during high school, during senior high? Sana yung mga tao dito.
Yung po ko, sir.
Meron, sir.
Ah,
Meron,
Meron
sir.
bang nakapag-lesson ng about soil? Saan ba? Di ba sa STEM meron tayong earth? May earth science ba din sa STEM?
Meron,
Or
sir, pero nung kami, sir, na hanggang ano lang yung sa art science namin na hanggang ano lang sa asteroids, mga
Yes,
ganun.
sir. Sa fourth year and third year rin, sir.
astronomy lang? So,
Yes, sir. Pero sa high school na merong ano, soil, sir. Sa junior high,
okay.
sir.
The junior high. Okay, sige. So, meaning to say you are not so this is not unusual to you know the concept of soil. No, in a way, our discussion on soil is just superficial, hindi naman yung complicated. Okay. Soil is part of the regolith that supports the growth of plants. Pag sinasabing regolith, yun yung part ng soil natin na meron pang kung saan na doon pa nalagay yung roots ng ating soil, ng ating plants, no? Kung saan makikita pa rin natin yung roots ng plants, that is actually part of a regolith, no? Regolith is the layer of rock and mineral fragments that covers most of the Earth's land surface. I don't know what is really the term sa atin, pero of course, tinatawag pa rin natin yan na sa Bisaya, yuta, in English, soil, tinatawag pa rin natin yan, but that actually, those part is actually termed as regolith. No? That is regolith. So here is now the soil composition. Remember, we have four major components of our soil. We have mineral matter or broken down rock. We have humus, which is the decayed remains of organisms. We have water and air. Actually, this soil, I could still remember during my undergrad years, meron kaming, meron kaming isang activity in ecology. We had this Vinogradsky column. No? Although this is not somewhat, not really, no, on the other side. But in ecology kasi, we believe or in biology, in the concept of ecology, we believe kasi that in every layer sa soil natin, meron siyang specific bacteria present. So iba-iba yung presence daw ng bacteria sa iba't ibang level, or yeah, iba't ibang level ng ating soil. So we did that, no? So we got some samples, or soil samples na naka-layer, and then meron kaming ginawa for that particular soil. And then the nice output there is that, remember, there are bacteria na right after nila mag-process ng kanilang any processes on the inside, meron silang color na ilalabas. So napakaganda yung tinatawag na namin na Vinogradsky column. Buong soil siya, pero yung layer niya iba't ibang kulay. No, meron kaming kulay na violet, meron somewhat green, yellow. The differences of color indicated na meron talagang iba't ibang bacteria present sa iba't ibang layer ng soil. So we call it Vinogradsky column. No? So this is now of course the concept of soil also. So we have again four major components. The mineral matter, we call it the other side as broken down rock, no? Humus, yung mga mayroong decayed remains of organisms, water, and of course air. So those are the four major components of your soil. Okay. So let's try to look at now the composition by volume of a good quality soil. So ito yung dapat dito natin matansya, no? And this is now the percentage of the composition wherein we can say that the soil has a good quality, no? So meron tayong 25% air, meron tayong 45% mineral matter, which is the highest percentage, of course. Kailangan talaga natin ng mineral composition kasi nga most of the energy, or most of the food, or the processes of your plant, no, nagagaling yan sa soil. And then 5% organic matter, we don't need a lot of organic matter. Kaya nga yung iba nilalagyan talaga nila ng yung mga tanim nila, no, yung soil. For example, if meron silang itatanim, nilalagyan o binubuhusan talaga nila ng ihi yung tanim or yung soil, no? So hindi pwedeng pure ihi kasi nga our ihi has a lot of mineral components, no? And a little bit of organic matter. So kaya nga dapat i-do away natin siya. Organic matter, we only need 5%. Okay? Of course, 25% of water and 25% of air. So this is now the composition by volume, wherein we can say that our soil has a good quality composition. Please take note of that. Okay, so here are now the characteristics of your soil. So of course, we have here first soil texture. Kasi nga, you will be having individually again. Right after this one, I will be uploading again another tasks, no, for soil, wherein you really have to categorize soil, and then you have to use the characteristics of soil for you to categorize those soil. Okay, so the first characteristic we have is soil texture. So texture refers to the proportions of different particle size. Okay? Kung mas maliit yung size, mean to say medyo mas pino. Kung mas malaki, medyo the texture naman is so rough, for example. Okay? So sa sand, that the particle size, large size, silt in between, and clay, small size. And this particular soil texture, again, particle sizes, na-appreciate natin to pag nagtatanim talaga tayo. No? You would notice, especially nowadays, kasi nga may pandemya, so marami na naging plantito at saka plantita. So when you are to plant your plant, no, kung ano bang klaseng plant niyan, you really have to choose an appropriate soil for that particular plant. Okay? It is because children, when it comes to particle sizes, nakadepende ra ba na dira ang absorption karon sa tubig. Okay? Remember that our particle size, meron siyang effect sa tinatawag natin na water absorption. So you really have to look into that. If that particular plant needs a lot of water to retain, therefore, you have to use this particular soil. If that particular plant naman na hindi gaanong kailangang mag-retain ng tubig, no, sa soil, therefore you have to choose this particular type of soil. Okay, and then you have here loam. Loam now is a mixture of all of the three soils here, no, sand, silt, and clay. And then of course, according to here, loam is considered to be the best suited for plant life. Kaya ito yung ginagamit talaga, generally speaking, ito yung ginagamit talaga in planting their if they want to plant their tanong, no? So they will be using loam. Okay, so I think this particular soil texture pyramid, I did use this mga estudyante ko in PhilSci, in PSci. What I did or what they did, they of course I did give them different soils, and all they have to do is to categorize those soils. Nakadepende dito sa tinatawag natin na pyramid. And of course, you will be using this pyramid also sa activity ninyo. So you will be using that one, that particular percent, no? And then kung saan siya banda, and that is now the type of your soil. Okay, that is in percentage. Okay. Okay. Next, another characteristic of soil is the soil structure. Soil particles clamp together to give a soil its structure. Clamp na siya. Soil formation, let's proceed now. Soil formation. The most important factors in soil formation are the parent material. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng parent material? Kung saan talaga nanggaling yung soil, no? Time, climate, organisms, and slope. So that those are the factors that affects the formation of your soil. Again, parent material. Ibig sabihin ng parent material, anong type talaga siya na soil? And then time, of course. And of course, your climate can affect the soil formation. Organisms, kung ano yung mga nandun, it could affect the soil formation. And then the slope. So ano po yung ibig sabihin ng slope? Yung sa bukid, kung steep ba siya, kung flat lang, that is what we call slope, no? So that is when it comes to soil formation. Parent material, residual soil. Parent material is the bedrock, okay? And then transported soil, parent material has been carried from elsewhere and deposited. We all know that when we transport soil, alam na natin na may particular role doon ang tubig. Okay? Pag sinasabi natin parent material, that is on the other term of that is the bedrock. No? So residual soil, parent material is the bedrock, yung nasa pinakailalim. Transported soil, parent material has been carried from elsewhere and deposited, perhaps because of water. Okay. Okay, so this is now the bedrock. You would notice here is the bedrock, no? Ganun siya. Residual soil develops on bedrock, and then transported soil develops. Okay, transported soil na siya. Ito. Okay. Next is time. No, important in all geologic processes. The longer a soil has been forming, the thicker it becomes. So that is a concept. Again, please take note. The longer a soil has been forming, the thicker it becomes. Meaning to say, if you are to to halukay, and then you would notice that the clumping now is very thick. Therefore, the formation of that soil takes longer. Matagal na yan. No? Matagal na siya. Okay. So that is when it comes to time, everyone. Next, climate, of course. Climate here considered to be has the greatest effect on soil formation. Kasi nga nakadepende, no? Napakainit ba ng lugar? You really have to notice that the soil here sa disyerto at yung soil doon sa Pilipinas, for example, is very different. Okay? So alam natin yan. That is why climate here is considered to be has a greatest effect on soil formation. Number 4 here is organisms. Of course, tayo, kasali na tayo sa tinatawag nating organisms. And of course, the small entities that we have, no? Organisms influence the soil's physical and chemical properties. For example, tayo, katong mga farmers nato, we introduce chemicals sa ato ang plants, therefore it will go through to your soil and so on. Okay? We build for this particular soil area diri, ato ni siyang gitamnan og inani. Of course, it could alter the physical structure of your soil, so as with the chemical properties of the soil. Okay, furnish organic matter to soil. The nice thing here to use when it comes to what you call the fertilizer, we really have to use organic fertilizers. No, it is really discouraged to use mga commercial fertilizers because of their mineral contents or the chemical contents that could of course affect the quality of the soil. It could affect, no? That is why we have now the concept of soil pollution because of that concept. Okay. Next, of course, is your slope. Daw kay siyang factor, children, no? Ang ato ang slope. When it comes to soil formation, no? If the angle daw, no? Kung dito sa angle na tinatawag, steep slopes. Pag sinabing steep, yung sagdanan natin na very steep, no? Steep slopes often have poorly developed soils, no? I think gusto ko talagang makita ito. Are you still there, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Po, sir.
Yes, sir.
Tingnan natin if I am showing you a whiteboard. I don't know kung makikita ba natin tong whiteboard. I'm opening my Jamboard. Sorry, search for Jamboard.
Sir. Yes, sir.
So according to the idea, when it comes to slope, ano ba yung Jamboard ko? Here. Can you see my Jamboard? This is a Jamboard, no?
Opo, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I will use a pen. Sorry lang. If this is the bukid, oh, ang ganda ng bukid. Okay, anyway, pag sinasabing if the slope of your mountain is very steep, so ibig sabihin ng steep, meron tayong angle na siguro we have acute angle, no? Ang ganyan. Compared to this slope, saan ba ang steeper? A or B?
B, sir.
B.
Letter B is steeper, correct, no? Very steep yan. So, ang sinabi doon sa presentation, when it comes to the development of your soil formation, mas walang gaanong development yung tinatawag natin na very steep na slope. Kasi nga, pag steep yung slope, pag ito, lahat ng mga, instead of they will form quality soils, I don't know if I really have to use the term quality, but when it comes to soil formation, walang gaanong soil formation, children. It is because pag very steep yung ano ba yan? Yung slope, yes, meaning to say, lahat ng soils, easy for that particular soil, no, to go down slope o sa pinakababa ng mountain. Is that correct? instead of
Yes, sir.
instead
Yes,
of
sir.
forming here, no, whatever soil formation na mangyayari dito, walang gaanong soil formation. It is because all of the components of your soil will go down. Okay? Compared to letter A.
Because of
Itong letter A,
wedging.
compared sa letter A natin na hindi siya masyadong steep, therefore, meron talagang chance that there is more soil formation because most of the most of the soil will be intact, of course, no? Intact siya compared to letter B. Okay, is that clear?
Yes,
Yes
sir.
po.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So I will go back to my screen. Giniwa namin na ron mag-quiz magitaan ni Ron. Okay, so again, sa angle, steep slopes often have poorly developed soils. My explanation is just an assumption. But then again, it is very clear that most likely my justification is somewhat true, no? Because of that particular steep slope. Optimum slope is a flat to undulating upland surface. Meaning to say, when it comes to slope daw, no, kung gusto na talaga if you are kung if you will proceed siguro, no, kasi nga yung mga ka-majors ko before, no, mga biology majors, most of them they proceed to medical courses, like for example, physician, for example. Yung iba nag-proceed talaga sila sa environmental science, no, in UP. So when it comes to if you are to find uh, a very developed soil formation, you have to look for not steep slopes. Doon ka talaga sa flat, no? Kasi nga hindi nagmo-move gaano yung tinatawag natin na soil. Therefore, there should be a developed soil formation. So again, please take note, optimum slope is a flat to undulating upland surface. So kung pag sinasabing undulating, meron namang papataas pero hindi naman talaga ganyan talaga. Siguro lesser than acute angle. No, parang ganyan. Okay, I hope that is clear. Next, I think the last one is again for slope orientation or direction the slope is facing influences soil formation. So, ibig sabihin, pag sinabing soil temperature, pwede din yan, and of course, the moisture. Kasi nga, remember, sa isang mountain, of course, your mountain, the other side of the mountain will be facing on the other side. The other side or the other face of your mountain will also facing the other side. Meaning to say, merong chance when it comes to when we discuss about mountains and when we discuss about temperature, meron talagang kaibahan yung temperature on the other side of the mountain compared to the other side. Okay? Mas marami talagang tubig or moisture yung the other side of the mountain compared to the other side of the mountain. Okay? Therefore then, that could also affect now what we call the soil formation. Sige. Next is the soil profile. Soil varies in composition, texture, structure, and of course, color at different depths. Ibig sabihin, iba't iba daw ang composition or components ng soil, yung texture ng soil, yung structure ng soil, at saka yung color ng soil pag nasa ilalim ka na, napakailalim na different depths. No? So we call it soil horizons. No? Soil horizons are zones or layers of soil. Again, pag sinasabing layers of soil, that is soil horizons. And a soil profile is a vertical section through all the soil horizon. Pag sinasabing soil profile, children, vertical ha, yung vertical natin pa straight, yung nakahiga na straight, that is what we call horizontal. Okay? Of course, no? Very, ano ba yun na description. So that is again our soil profile, the vertical section through all the soil horizon. So coming from the upper part of the soil up to the bottom part of the soil. So that is what we call our soil profile, vertical section. Okay, so the A horizon is commonly known as the topsoil. And then the B horizon is subsoil and contains clay particles washed out from the A horizon. Please take note of that. I know the terms are not not alien to you, no? We also have here the sea horizon. The sea horizon is between B horizon and an altered parent material. Ibig sabihin, your sea horizon daw is perhaps we could actually tell that as a bedrock. Bedrock siya, parent material, which is unaltered. So ano po ibig sabihin? Meaning to say, kung ano yung composition ng sea horizon, that is the original composition. Sa letter B kasi, there are parts of letter B that can be washed out from A horizon. Pwede siyang matanggal. So siguro ma-wash out ng tubig, pwede siyang ano ba yan? Mahalukay ng some other animals, for example. But for sea horizon, those are unaltered parent material. Okay. So an altered parent material below pa ng sea horizon. Sorry. So we have A horizon, we have B horizon, we have C horizon, and below sa sea horizon natin, meron pa tayong tinatawag na unaltered parent material. Again, we call it the bedrock perhaps. Okay. So we have here our soil profile. Again, yung soil profile natin, the vertical section of your soil horizon. Okay. So we have here our A horizon, we have B horizon, we have C horizon, and of course the unweathered or unaltered parent material. So A, B, C. Okay. This is an example picture showing different horizons, no? Maraming ganito. If you could travel to Bukidnon, you could actually see a lot of this, no? Traveling to Davao, for example, via Bukidnon, you could see a lot of this na you would actually notice na iba't iba yung composition and different physical structure. That is actually the different horizons, no? Okay, let's proceed to, it's 4:59. Let's proceed to soil types. Three common types of soil are pedal and then pedicle, and of course we have the laterite. We have fir, we have pedicle, and laterite. So the pilfar, best developed under forest vegetation. Dito natin makikita, especially in tropical region, sa atin, no, best developed siya under forest vegetation. Marami siya. Accumulation of iron oxides and aluminum-rich clays in the B horizon. If you would really plan to change your career from teaching to in environmental scientists, you really have to familiarize soil, no, the different soil types. Another we have, let's just run through everything, no, because these are just descriptions, man. We have pedicle, accumulates calcium carbonate associated with drier grassland. So, mas makikita mo daw, you can find a lot of this soil type in drier grasslands. Okay. The laterite, you could see the soil, this particular soil type in hot, wet, and then tropical climates, of course, here sa atin. Okay. Intense chemical weathering. Sir, bakit po intense chemical weathering? Why do we have intense chemical weathering? Because of this description. Remember, hot. Remember your chemical weathering, best na mangyayari ang chemical weathering children sa napakataas na temperature, therefore hot, and then marami daw moisture, wet, which is makikita natin sa tropical region. Okay. Okay, are you there? Are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Yes,
Sige.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Baka yung iba, grabe tulog na ha. Sige. Let's proceed to, wait, okay. So let's proceed to soil erosion. Malapit na tayo. Okay. Water erodes soil. Okay. Of course, that is our concept, no? Water, especially, alam na alam natin. Kaya nga, the other day, I don't know if you have received a message coming from NDRMM or sa push notifications ng cellphone ninyo that Lano del Sur is part of having orange level of rain, no? And then we are actually given an advance notice na because of this particular rain, meron talagang tatawagin na soil erosion, merong, yeah, there will be a lot of erosion. And then of course, baha. Okay. So water erodes soil. Rates of erosion. So kailan natin malalaman na itong lugar na to mas madaling ma-erode, no? Itong lugar na to. Sir, can we equate erosion to landslide perhaps? Pwede natin yung ma-equate, no? Pwede natin ma-equate because their structure is somewhat the same, no? So kailan ba natin malalaman na this particular location is mas madaling ma-erode? Okay? Of course, we have this idea that if we remove natural vegetation, such as farming, logging, and construction, it could actually greatly accelerate our erosion. Ibig sabihin, yung bukid, for example, na wala gaanong vegetation, natural vegetation, wala gaanong puno, no? Kada siya kanang bakante kay siya nga yuta, that is mas madali siyang ma-erode or mas madala na tubig. Okay? Because the main purpose of your vegetation, the main purpose of your plants there, especially those plants na mas malalaki yung roots, for example, the main purpose of those is by the time merong mas maraming amount of water, what they did or what the plants did, they absorbed the water. No? Remember, your water, pag nasa sa top mo sa imuhang yuta, it will be penetrated sa baba ng soil. Kung walang kukuha ng tubig na nasa ilalim ng soil natin, therefore, your soil, instead na gahi siya, buhumok lang siya, and then that's the time na ma-erode yung soil natin. It will travel through your water. So kung meron talagang vegetation doon, for example, a lot of trees, so soil na na-penetrate, yung water na na-penetrate ng soil natin will be penetrated, will be absorbed by the trees or by our plants. Okay? So yan yung parang titingnan natin, and then we can actually predict now the rate of erosion for that particular area. Next, we have sediment deposition. Reservoirs fill with sediment. Sediments are contaminated by pesticides and fertilizers. Okay, kana sila. Especially kanang mga kanang mga farming, no, yung mga soil na ginagamitan talaga ng mga what you call these commercial fertilizers. If they are contaminated with pesticides and fertilizers, those soil mas madali silang makakuha ng tubig, therefore mas madali siyang ma-erode. Okay. Now, controlling erosion, of course, how to control erosion, dapat magtanim talaga ng maraming puno, no? So, planting rows of trees called windbreaks, tracing hillsides, plowing around along the contours of hills, and then, of course, rotating crops. So, ano pong ibig sabihin ng rotating crops? Remember, ang very intelligent talaga nito, yung magsasaka talaga, no? Remember, every season, iba't ibang panahon or months, meron din yung specific na plants or mga vegetation na tumutubo. Kaya nga, meron tayong sinasabi na, anong buwan ngayon? January? Walang mangga ngayon kasi January. So saan banda mas maraming mangga? December, parang ganyan. Okay, seasonal. So we call it rotating crops. So meaning to say, this particular land, hindi pwedeng ang itanim lang ay munggo, no? This particular soil, hindi pwedeng tamnan lang ng talbos, yung kamote, for example. So there should be rotating crops. Okay? Because that could give your soil a very quality, no? Meron talagang quality of that particular. Next, mass movements. So again, if you have questions, please take down of your questions and raise that during our Q&A because mass movements will be the last topic for Module 4. Okay. Mass movements, remember mass movements, isa siya sa tinatawag nating Earth's external processes, no? Before we discuss sedimentary rock last module. So mass movements, here are now the triggers of mass movements. Sir, yung mass movements, pwede ba po nating ma-equate yan na parang erosion probably, no? Kasi ito talagang sa earth science kasi na part, binibigyan talaga sila ng term, nakadepende kung ano yung triggering factor niya. Okay? So the transfer of rock and soil downslope due to gravity is called mass movement. So lahat daw ng pag-transfer of rock and then soil downslope due to the power of your gravity, we call it mass movement. Okay, so among the factors that commonly trigger mass movements are saturation of surface materials with water. Ibig sabihin, yung soil, nalagyan, very dry soil or a very typical soil na nalagyan siya ng tubig, meaning say saturated of water, mas madali siyang maipababa gamit yung gravity. Okay? Oversteeping of slopes, meron tayong concept sa gravity din yan, no? If the slope is oversteep, therefore, mas madali yung pag-move ng rock or soil downslope due to gravity. Removal of vegetation, ito din. If there would be removal of vegetation, therefore, walang kakapit sa soil at saka rock. Therefore, then, your rock and then soils will go down slope due to gravity. And then, of course, earthquakes. Okay? So those are the triggering factors of your mass movements. I hope you understand. So we have here different types of mass movements. Geologists classify mass movements based on the kind of material that moves, how it moves, and then of course the speed of movement. So of course we have here rock falls. A rock fall occurs when rocks or rocks fragments fall freely through the air. We call it rock fall, no? So kana siya na siguro nasa bukid nangatagak siya, nangahagbong. Okay? So that is what we call rock fall. Okay? So again, ano yung triggering factor ng rock fall? Because of the gravity. Okay. Next, we have is slides. Ito naman, in a slide, a block of material moves suddenly along a flat, inclined surface. Slides that include segments of bedrock are called rock slides, ang tawag. So, ibig sabihin ng bedrock, yung, ano ba, yung soil na nakasama yung pinakailalim ng soil, and then mag-move siya, that is what we call rock slides. Okay? I think meron tayong pictures later I will show you. Slumps. A slump is the downward movement of a rock material along a curved surface. Naka-curve naman siya, children, and then nag-move yung tinatawag natin na material along a curved surface. We call it slump. Okay. Again, meron tayong picture later so that you can visualize these terms now. Okay. This one perhaps, heavy rains can trigger slumps. Ganun siya. Di ba ang slumps, kiningon siya diri, downward movement of a block of material along a curved surface, like curved surface, curve. Okay. So heavy rains can trigger slumps. Mura siya og landslide. Okay. Next, flows. Flows are mass movements of material containing a large amount of water. Kana, pag marami ng tubig, tinatawag dyan flows. Pero hindi man siya tubig, no? Meron din siyang soils or rock, pero ang mas marami lang, the larger component is your water. Mud flows, yan, yung mud flows, no? So move quickly and carry a mixture of soil, rock, and water that has a consistency of wet concrete. Earth flows move relatively slowly and carry clay-rich sediment. Okay, so this is now your mud flow. Sorry. Your mud flow is here. No? Na-scar diri. And then nag-landslide. And then agianan. Yung maliit lang. And then ito, may babagsak. So this one is what we call landslide. Sa taas. Ito, yung land talaga. And then, merong scar, particular scar. And then, mas maraming tubig. And then, wet part here. So, mud flow. Yan. Okay. Ito, this is an example of earth flow. What is the... Okay. Earth flow more relatively slowly and carry clay-rich sediment. So, ito din yung earth flow. Matatanggal siya, and then yan. Okay. And then creep. Creep is the slow downhill movement of soil and regolith. This one, this is an example of creep, no? Ano siya? So, mura siya ni ganyan. And you would notice there are the tilting of fence, no? Yan. Then I broken retaining wall. Then merong cracks. No? So, hindi naman talaga siya totally nabababa, no? Marag nag-slide off lang siya gamay. So, that's what we call creep, no? Okay. So, this is what we call rockfall. Children rockfall, yan. Of course, you can experience rockfall if ang components lang ng mountain on the other side kay bato lang, no? Kaya siya. And this is what we call debris flow. I think debris flow is what we call mud flow also. No? So ganyan, meron lang and then mud na dahil na siya dire. Then slumping, parang ganyan lang. Okay? Then creep, kini siya, soil creep. So parang bumaba lang ng line. This will be slumping is actually moving, no? Debris flow is moving. Slumping is moving not so fast. Malit lang. Yung rockfall talaga, paspas ni kini siya, no? Kay rocks, gini siya nagagbong. Okay. Okay. (5:13), we are done. If you have questions, please raise that.
None so far, sir. Good na ako sa first part, sir,
Question?
kasi di ko nakutan po. Huli
Sige
po
lang,
ako ng
anyway,
mga 30 minutes.
okay lang, sige lang. Naka-record ito. Again, I will be uploading it sa Google Classroom and of course sa YouTube channel ko. So I'll be uploading it there. So you could catch up, everyone. Question?
Okay po.
Question so far?
None so far, sir. None so
None
far.
so
Okay.
far po.
None
Not
so
so
far,
far.
sir.
So,
None, sir.
okay. So again, I will give you or I will notify you by the time I will upload the materials for your task for Module 4.
Sir,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yung
Hi
may
po,
Okay.
sir.
po, sir.
Yes?
Si ano po, Mujahid at saka si Sahara Makala, kanina po pa po hindi makapasok. Walang signal.
It's okay. In a way, please tell them. I think you all already know that every time we will be having our online discussion, you can actually catch up because I will be uploading the material naman.
Sige po, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. If you don't have any questions, you can now exit the room. God bless everyone and keep safe.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you,
tomorrow,
sir. Bye,
tomorrow.
sir. Thank you.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Bye,
We'll
sir.
discuss module 5.